This show is part of the Miles Offside Podcast Network. Visit twitter.com/milesoffsidepod for more information. And now, on with the show. And welcome to another episode of the Miles Offside Podcast, where we talk a little bit of football and a whole lot of nonsense. My name is Oscar Puente, also known as Footy from Afar, and with me, as always, are my co-hosts Chuck Bailey and super producer Ian Stimson.
Hi-oh.
1 week to go until the Premier League season starts. How excited are you guys? Gonna be great.
And I want what you're talking about, mate. Nab the point. First of many. 39 to go, boys.
That's it. 1/40th of the way there.
You're the only mob team that grabbed a point this weekend, if I'm not mistaken.
What up?
So, nothing like grabbing a point against a 10-man team.
Fucking hell.
Welcome. A lot of you might be new listeners, because we did get quite a few people jumping on the train with the preview pods and the FPL pods, so welcome to our first regular season episode.
Especially if you're part of our Barbados Massive. Whoop!
Yeah, big in Barbados, baby.
Barbados
Woo-hoo.
represent. You guys keep listening. We're coming on tour.
Yeah, map on tour.
We charted all over the place. Japan, Finland. I only showed you Barbados because that was the highest one, because there's probably about 5 people there, but whatever.
Wait, we're big in Finland as well now? And Japan?
Yeah, Finland, France, Spain. We charted in the top 50 of Spain.
Hey-o.
Europe, Asia, the Caribbean.
It's happening.
Sam Danby isn't flying around getting us downloaded all over the place, huh?
Has Sam Danby left us reviews in 7 different languages?
Oh, I'd love that.
He summarily destroyed me in the Fantrax draft league this week.
Did you get a dick in?
And that's despite him leaving Jesus on his bench and Ozil in his lineup.
Ooh,
I know.
strength in depth.
Brutal destruction at his hands. I'm trying to pull up the score right now so I can see. In game week 1, I lost by... Well, the final score was 322 to 263. So,
Jesus Christ.
Wow.
but that will be a running theme this week, I think, is disappointing losses on my behalf. But yeah, let's go ahead and we're going to skip the rapid fire news this week because we're so excited to talk about the fixtures. But that will be making a comeback first time in the season next week, so no worries there. But I guess let's take it off then with some rapid fire fixtures.
Meow, 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 meow.
They won't be rapid.
Disclaimer, it will take an hour.
At least. Cast your minds way back, if you can.
To the many long ago.
Yeah, Friday, August 9th, at some undetermined time in some undetermined time zone.
The before times.
We were all still reeling from the fucking motorcycles. I hate motorcycles. We were all still reeling.
That was a metaphor for how revved up we were for the start of the season.
Hey, very good.
Sound
Very
effects. Good. That was Ian really earning his super producer credit
there. So Liverpool 4, Norwich 1. Liverpool looked really fucking good, right?
Yeah, in the defence, it's weird that in the half that they won 4-0, their defence looked really shit. And Norwich looked like a team that were going to come up and actually do some damage to some teams because they looked really good in attack. I think they had two clear chances before Liverpool had even had one. Had just gone over the bar, whatever his name is, Superman. Steeperman. He's like Superman, but at more of an angle. And unfortunately, his angle was over the bar.
That's a cute joke.
Whee!
Oh, well taken, sir.
Some people might find that a bit obtuse.
Nice.
Ew.
Hey!
I think he shot it on the reflex, though. Come on, a cue. Fuck you. Unbelievable.
Isosceles.
That's a triangle. Fuck off. Well, I'm genuinely furious now, so you can carry on all you like, but I'm genuinely furious. Go on, let's talk about
He did
Norwich.
waste a few chances, Chuck. Steeperman.
He did. He was looking for the right angle.
Fuck off.
Yeah, that's mathematic jokes. Par for the course, Barbados. We love you. Yeah, and I did wonder if that's Norwich seeing it as first game, right, it literally doesn't matter what we're going to do now, we've got a free hit, so do we just go for this? And they looked pretty cohesive going forward. I was quite pleasantly surprised, actually, especially, a lot was said about Pukki coming up through the Championship, and he managed to nab a goal in the second half. But you just wonder if that's the way Norwich are going to play this season, if once they start to play more of the easier teams, or not that there's easier fixtures, but teams more at their level, if they are still going to go for it in that way, or they'll be a bit more cautious and try and hold possession a bit more rather than just going for sheer counter-attack, because it was really enjoyable to watch.
It was very enjoyable to watch, although I do think the scoreline flatters Liverpool here. On XG, they had 1.6 plus the own goal to 0.9 for Norwich. Norwich generating 0.9 at Anfield opening day of the season is pretty good. Like, you do have to give them credit for that. Mm-hmm. And I do think I couldn't find the data on this, but it does seem like one of those cases where I would expect the non-shot XG to be even higher, because they created a bunch of dangerous situations in the box where they weren't quite able to get a shot off.
Yeah.
So that wouldn't contribute, obviously, towards their XG, because XG is just based off shots. But there is that alternate form called non-shot XG. That data is not publicly available. But again, I would definitely imagine that was even higher than 0.9. Like, they should walk out of that, I would imagine, heads held high and hopes pretty high for the coming season.
And it was a pretty impressive own goal, I've got to say. The angle he got on his foot to pretty much, I don't even know. I didn't know people bent that way.
Depends how much you pay them.
Hey-ya!
I meant wages. Wages, obviously, at the soccer clubs. Yeah.
Of course.
All right, so then let's go ahead and move on to Saturday then. Another very dominating scoreline by a team that was clearly better than everyone last year, and it does not appear to have changed. We had Man City 5, West Ham 0. It looks like West Ham's complete and utter lack of a midfield probably didn't help in this match, but I don't know how, guys, you think.
Jack Wilshere, innit? Guys?
Mm?
Guys?
Yes?
Jack Wilshere?
Mm.
He's good, isn't he?
Mm.
He is a player.
He's what you want when you spend all that money on attackers.
Yeah.
And I still don't understand why Declan Rice is good. Is he good? Everyone tells me he's good, and he's the Irish Player of the Year, but...
I liked him pretending he hadn't encroached when he was practically up to the penalty spot.
Oh, yeah, he was like a yard and a half in, and also a yard inside the box for the retaker as well.
yeah, exactly. That would have been another retake as well.
It would have been, and it's good to see, because we've blown over this, that VAR is now here in the Premier League, and it has been used. Not just in the referee's ear, but actual viewing of the TV screen as well. And the fact that got used to actually implement one of the laws of the game that has been in place for God knows how long.
And basically ignored for as long.
Yeah, so that is the dominating storyline here, which is kind of sad because, a 5-0 on opening day for returning champions, and the two, in their last two seasons, they were the two greatest teams of all time in the Premier League era. But we are, I guess, we should talk about it because that's what everyone's talking about. VAR, the big storyline here, disallowed a goal, allowed another goal that people kind of were pissed off about.
The Raheem Sterling blur. Raheem Blurling.
Exactly, yeah. I think for me, I'm still incredibly supportive of VAR. If anything, more so now that it's pissing off people who have bad opinions.
Yeah, it's enjoyable. It is enjoyable.
If you have a problem with VAR, I think what you should really more so have a problem with is the rulebook and how the rulebook is stupid and poorly written and vague and etc., especially on things like handballs, offside, red cards. All the things that VAR is here to help with are still pretty much fundamentally broken in the rulebook, and they have been for years now, and people have been saying that for years now.
Yeah, but that's good because I suppose that's the way they can then expose what hasn't been able to be exposed over the years. But the problem I had with VAR in this game isn't, the Raheem Sterling armpit one where he then plays it to Jesus, whatever. Yeah, okay, that's marginal, but offside is offside. We've said it before, it's arbitrary. I don't understand how, if the VAR person, their job is to draw those two lines because they've got a 3D camera where a lot of VAR that's been used before is a 2D camera, so that's why it was taking so much longer to decide the offside calls, is that if they have that camera and they've drawn the lines and they can see Sterling's offside, that's it, why did they then spend another 45 seconds just showing it over and over and over again? Because that's just it. There you go, offside, job done. And that's the problem I had with VAR in this, and it then kind of panders to people saying, oh, it's ruining the game or delaying or what have you, is because it was a delay that's unnecessary for something that is arbitrary. And at least it means now that the ref doesn't have to view the TV screen for that. The ref, the video ref who's in North London somewhere, or West London, I can't remember where, just tells him straight in his earpiece, that was offside, blow for this, free kick, whatever, job done.
Right. Yeah, and like you said, like you're either offside or you're not. So even if it's close, it's clearly and obviously wrong if it's wrong. Like there's no gray area there, right? And that's my hope for it too, that like VAR will bring to light what are problems that have existed for a long time, so that hopefully they'll eventually have something done. But the way VAR is being implemented, it's just doing its job. Like, and that's a good thing. Ian, what was your take on VAR here?
Well, yeah, on here specifically, like Chuck says, it's a binary decision. So the only problem is how long it took. That is the only problem, because it should just go, that's offside, job done. It should take 5 or 10 seconds. Yeah, it is funny, the Raheem Blur, what did you say? Raheem Blurling. Yeah, I enjoyed that. Yeah, because that was funny when they looked at that one. He literally is just. Clearly, they've not got a high-speed camera. They might have a 3D one, but it's not very high speed, because he looks like something out of Tron just going through. And then they've just gone, oh, yeah, let's just pick a point there. That's maybe a problem.
But that was the West Ham player's massive arse that played him onside there. If you look at it, it's his massive arse.
And you can score off your arse, so no problem with that.
So there you go. Anyway, let's not get too bogged down in this and not acknowledge the fact that City are still the best team in the league, even with playing players that we didn't think would play, with a ridiculously strong bench, to the point of which Jose Mourinho, who is now a Sky Sports pundit, who was on today, was asked what 4 teams do you think can win the league? And he said Man City, Liverpool, Tottenham, and Man City B. Because I look at their bench and look at the second 11 they could make, and they could still win the league.
I don't think that's wrong.
No.
And the debut for Rodri went about as well as it could. Fernandinho wasn't in the lineup, and we said that if they have a fatal flaw in our preview, it was when Fernandinho's not on the pitch. I think they summarily answered that, and they have somehow had such a good summer that I think they're a better team than they were last year, which is unbelievable. Unbelievable. Yep. So, I don't know, 5-0 start. Pretty much what you'd expected. We did say Dickings for Norwich and West Ham. That is how it went down.
And Raheem Sterling hat-trick. You got to ride hard for that, man. Fuck the racists.
Found his shooting boots. I mean, finishing has always been something he's been criticised for, but...
Yeah. And he wanted that penalty. Did you see him? With Aguero? Especially the retake. He's like, come on, just give it to me now. That's it.
He did want that, yeah.
Just unbelievable. Just genuinely, privileged to get to watch them play. And on the flip side of that, you have Bournemouth and Sheffield, 1.2 to 1.5 on XG. Not much going on there, right? Nothing really worth commenting on, I think.
Was that 1.5 Sheffield United?
To 1.2 for Bournemouth. That's disappointing for Bournemouth. Only 1.2 against Sheffield and at home.
But, I mean, I just think this weird FPL Twitter thing on Bournemouth is masking the fact that of what we've picked up on, that I just don't think Bournemouth are that good.
No.
They... to be at home opening day of the season against a promoted side who, albeit play this weird system with a sweeper and etc., to not only not get all 3 points, but concede quite late, I think, and be lower on XG, just shows they're not really creating, and that's a little bit worrying.
They're going to need to score more because they let in so many, and like you say, to let in 1 point, or to concede 1.5 XG to a promoted team and not score more than them is really disappointing. Both goals were scrappy as well. Both goals were really scrappy.
Absolutely.
There was not much to write home about with Bournemouth's attack.
No, and Sheffield were the promoted team that weren't good at attack compared to Norwich and Aston Villa, right? I'm going to keep saying Norwich, so fuck off.
Okay.
Their strength here, Sheffield's strength was in their promotion was in their defense, and I think that did kind of show because Bournemouth aren't that bad in attack, at least. But
Not usually.
it's got to
no.
be really worrisome for Bournemouth to concede that much to a not good attacking team. Like,
It's quite weird, and we'll come on to it later with his performance for Aston Villa, but they could probably use a defender like Tyrone Mings. What about now? Maybe a weak defensive team shouldn't be selling a defender then.
That's totally not a thing that happens, so don't worry about it.
Moving on.
Well, they shouldn't be selling defenders that defend. Shall I put it
Well,
that way?
that's true. Yeah.
Sure, let's go with that. Moving on, we have motherfucking Burnley.
Burnley gonna Burnley, yo. Burnley, keep on Burnleying
3
that Burnley way.
on 0.9 XG, scoring 3 on 0.9. I hate them so much. They continue to defy, and I hate them so much. Scored 3 on 0.9, so they're already way
Are
overperforming.
their strikers amazing or what? I mean, what's happening here?
They're absolute Brexit FC. Like, they're all British and they're all defying expectation and just being belligerent and not understanding that they're not a good idea for the world. That's just what Burnley are.
Yeah.
They're just completely content with fucking up everyone's week.
I hate them. So let's move on, because I refuse to fucking spend any more time on that shit. Maybe Southampton will get relegated. I don't know. We'll catch up with that later.
Maybe just laugh at Southampton for like 3 seconds.
I don't want to laugh at.
Sorry.
I don't want to laugh at Southampton this week because we do have a new Patreon. Shout out to our good friend Raph.
Oh, yeah. Oh, sorry about
So
that, Raph.
let's lay off Southampton at least for this week,
Okay.
and then we'll come back to that.
Park it. Put a pin in it. Week 2.
Oh, trust me, we don't need to park it. There'll be plenty more opportunities to laugh at Southampton and get angry about Burnley.
Now, I was all ready to come on here and talk about the next fixture and make fun of Chuck and give him a lot of shit, but I think given today's events, I'll probably back off and be a little nicer.
You should have foreseen that one.
0-0 Everton Palace. Everton 1.2 to Palace 0.9 on XG, so
Yeah.
you would have expected about a 1-1 draw on average, but still a draw. Everton were slightly better, but not, statistically significantly enough that you'd think that they got sort of hosed. Chuck, what's the story here with Palace?
We can't finish. That just seems to be it. Like, it was very slow build up. We just lacked that cutting edge at the front. I mean, obviously Zaha was off until the 70th minute he came on, 65th, 70th. Got a good reception and gave a good account of himself.
Yeah, fair play to him. He didn't slouch, did he?
Yeah, no. And it's, if you believe what Hodgson has said and come out, his issue is with the owners, not with the other players, the manager and what have you, because it's kind of supposedly similar to the Koscielny situation in which he was promised a move or something, and now because the club haven't deemed the bid sufficient enough,
I can imagine,
which don't believe the hype. Apparently Everton only ever bid 52 million once, and that was about 2-3 weeks ago.
Right.
Sky Sports, ding. Don't believe Sky Sports, guys. But it was more to do with, we had 2 really good chances, and just if Ayew had taken maybe another touch left, he could have put it round Jordan Pickford. And then there was a similar situation with Max Meyer, where it's almost like he wanted, what he was looking for is to cut it inside to someone. But then when he realised there was no one there and he had to do it himself, he didn't really back himself enough. Which he should, because, he had that whole season of bedding in. He looks a lot fitter, a lot stronger and a lot more comfortable within the squad than he did last year. So I'm quite looking forward to that. But it was just, if we had someone like Batshuayi still, those would have been 2 goals the end of last season. And
it's not like he's doing us any fucking good. He's just sitting on the bench. Well, he wasn't even on the bench today. So
was he not?
No.
No, and this Zaha to Chelsea thing, potentially with a bid in January, I don't know how the Chelsea transfer ban works, but that's still kind of not really going away, but kind of coming up in different forms. So I wonder if that's potentially on the cards. But my main concern that always happens with Palace, and it's a similar structure to like being an England fan, is that we're never really absolutely ruthless. Like, especially once Schneiderlin got sent off, and you've got 15 minutes then of being against 10 men that they just didn't really go ham and go for it. And Hodgson, kept his subs really late, only made 2. He could have, against 10 men, Could have easily brought on Camarasa because he's now like a more creative midfielder that we've brought in. But instead bought off Ayew for Zaha, which you can kind of understand, but Ayew was having a great game. And then brings off Benteke for Wickham. So it's like one striker who can't score for another. But still some positive signs there. And as well, on the flip side for Everton were very unlucky not to go ahead a couple of times, and just similar to Palace, really just didn't click at that last moment that was required from Richarlison and Sigurdsson. Just a few near misses, really.
So what do you think is the solution for Palace going forward for like the rest of the season? Is it continuing to be Benteke and Ayew? Do you want to see Ayew as the number 9? And like obviously Zaha has to come back into the lineup. So what do you see for like the formation and the lineup going ahead?
It's very difficult, and I have spent quite some time trying to figure it out in my head. But I think it should be one you kind of need. If you're playing Benteke or Wickham, you need to be playing crosses into them, which means there's no place for Ayew there. So we need to be playing the classic way Palace have always played, which is wingers whacking the ball, get a centre midfielder up in there as well and try and cause some havoc, or from set plays where we haven't looked as dangerous as we used to, which coming from Tony Pulis's management and Sam Allardyce's, as we were lethal with set pieces for a long, long time. It's why Scott Dan was scoring so many goals, 2-3 seasons ago. But I think playing in that more 4-4-2, with Ayew playing off of Benteke, he needs to be making the more direct runs. And I don't know. It's everyone would have liked to have seen a striker and another right back signed, especially considering the two strongest positions we had. You could argue towards the end of last season were those with Batshuayi and Wan-Bissaka, and obviously Wan-Bissaka playing well again today, and all of pre-season with Man United. It does make him look a bit of a steal, and like potentially we could have held out for more money for him, but. It's still very early days. We did all of our business late and a few players to bed in. But I thought, considering we were playing then, Dan and Kelly as our centre-backs, who you would argue now are kind of the third and fifth or fourth and fifth choices for that position, I think we did pretty well to hold out.
Next one, I don't know that we need to spend too much time on it. 3-0 Brighton-Watford. Total fluke. It was 1.0 to 1.0 on XG. That just happens. There's just days where weird shit happens.
Oh, I didn't watch this because obviously I hate Brighton. But I've seen a lot of stuff saying that Watford looked absolute garbage.
They didn't look good. I wouldn't say absolute garbage, but they didn't look good.
I mean, if you're going to concede 3 to Brighton...
Yeah, I do. But that scoreline I think is pretty misleading because some people have it at 0.8, some people have it at 1.0, depending on which one you look at. But either way, Brighton didn't generate that much XG. By all accounts, I didn't watch this entire thing. I was watching Goal Rush, which basically picks one match as its main match. That was Palace-Everton, and then cuts to any shots on target or corners or stuff like that from other matches.
Oh, I wish we had that.
It's really good. It's really good. So I only saw a few things from this match, but from what I've read and from what I've seen, Watford didn't look good, but they didn't look that bad, and Brighton just sort of stumbled their way into 3 goals. Fluky and lucky.
One of those things.
Just one of them things, exactly. What is not one of them things, though, is Tottenham putting a fucking smackdown on Aston Villa. 3-1, 2.6 to 0.6 on XG. Obviously, we'll get to Chelsea in a minute. Yeah. But I will say that result and that scoreline is not the most upsetting thing to happen to Chelsea this weekend. And in the last few days, the most upsetting thing to happen to Chelsea in the last few days since the last time we recorded is how fucking amazing of a transfer window Tottenham had. They sealed the deal on pretty much everybody they wanted to except Dybala, which might be a blessing in disguise because it looks like Harry Kane is well and truly back, which is fucking terrifying as a Chelsea fan. He got off 8 shots. He had the second most high-intensity runs of anyone on the field, and he looked like his old self. I mean, in the last 2 seasons, he hasn't averaged more than 4 per 90 on shots, and he got 8.
Wow.
And he was making that space for himself. He looked mobile, he looked agile, he looked high energy and really genuinely fit, which scares the shit out of me.
I'd like to see where the breakdown of the XG came from in the game, because anyone who watched it, Spurs were kind of all at sea, really, especially in the first half. And then up until maybe about 5 minutes before Eriksen came on, they just didn't really look like doing much, and Villa were kind of back to the wall and defending really well and still looking okay going forward. And then, and Ndombele just hits an absolute cracker for his first goal in the Premier League after he tried a few shots from that range. And then the floodgates just opened. I mean, Jack Grealish got caught in possession and Kane nailed his first and Tottenham second. And then the last one was just kind of one of those ones where the scoreline, even though the XG shows it, the scoreline kind of doesn't give the full result of the scope of the game.
Yeah, because it definitely was like a late push from Tottenham.
Yeah.
And Villa looked like they gave up for the last 20 minutes of that match, 15 minutes of that match.
They looked like they had
They were
nothing
just
left.
fucking gone, man.
But so that was the story with Tottenham a lot last season, that it was the last 10 minutes of games where they were winning them, and they were scoring 2 or 3 goals in the last 10 minutes. And that still kind of worries me, even though they show then the reason why all of us think they can easily be top 3 or, maybe even pip Liverpool on their day to the second spot. I don't think they can do City unless it's a kind of wonder season.
No one can catch City on pure quality.
But I just wonder if that then means it's a sustainable, because you'd like to see that more across the game. And I know probably Spurs fans, for their own mental well-being, would prefer to see, 3 goals in the first 20 minutes rather than the last 15, 20 minutes,
I think they were surprised by Villa actually playing, though. I think often when you get a sort of top-level Premier League club playing a newly promoted club, there's an expectation of maybe rolling over. I think Norwich surprised Liverpool to start with.
Yeah.
Then quality showed. I think Villa surprised Tottenham to start with, and eventually quality showed. But, Tottenham took, 31 shots to get those 3 goals?
Jesus.
There was a lot of wayward shots. There was also a lot of Sissoko shots that were going out for throw-ins.
Yeah, Jesus. Yeah.
So that's probably 3 of those.
Yeah. Can you call that an attempt on goal?
No.
Well, that's the thing that scares me the most as a Chelsea fan, too. This wasn't Tottenham's best 11 by any stretch.
No.
Eriksen wasn't there until later. Ali's still injured. The new signings weren't in there yet. They will get better, I think, as the season goes on. And yes, this is only against Villa. Fine, take it with a grain of salt. But Ndombele looked like a piece that they did not have since Moussa Dembele got old/injured.
Oh, yeah, he looks like Moussa Dembele 9 years ago, but stronger and better.
They didn't have a midfield last year, and now they have a very strong midfield, especially once Lo Celso comes in. From what I understand, just from reading Kaylee, who's a Spurs fan, and other people online too, he was the replacement for Eriksen in case Eriksen left. But now that they're both here, probably Lo Celso will be playing a little deeper. I could be completely wrong on that, but that's my understanding. But either way, they have a functional midfield and a healthy Harry Kane.
Yeah, that's dangerous. And they've actually made signings.
Yeah. So I'm not happy at all with that. And neither will be good friend of the pod, Adam. Nor should he be particularly happy with his own team's performance. Sunday morning or afternoon, I guess, for you guys. I don't know what time it was over there.
Early afternoon. Terrible game.
Terrible game. Arsenal 1, Newcastle 0. 0.4 to Newcastle on XG. Only 0.8 to Arsenal, though.
Overperforming them numbers. They love it.
Still call it that, yeah.
Arsenal going to Newcastle. Newcastle. And only doing 0.8 XG is no good. And yeah, so I can already hear people being like, well, grain of salt, it was their B squad, right? Which, but so was Tottenham, and see what Tottenham did.
Hang on, it was their B squad. At what point, what part of that team was their B squad?
Arsenal?
Their defence is just that shit, and they don't have a centre midfield.
All 3 London teams, big London teams, no offense, Chuck,
Fuck you.
didn't start with their best 11. And of those 3, Arsenal are the ones that had the worst day. Underlying numbers wise, obviously, obviously Chelsea had by far the worst day.
I was going to say, allow me a moment.
Come on, give Adam something here. Yeah. Try and get in your digs and forego the annihilation. Anyway, we'll get to that.
Chelsea's B squad went to Old Trafford and generated 1.4. Arsenal's B squad went to Newcastle and generated 0.8.
Yeah, but Newcastle know their shit, so we'll play more defensively, and Chelsea probably got that XG because United were like, have a shot. We're going to fucking do you anyway.
Also, I know we'll get there, but in what way was it Chelsea's B squad other than
that is just Chelsea again? That is just Chelsea.
Just Chelsea at the minute, right?
Well, Rudiger is our best defender, and he's still coming back from preseason. He wasn't even on the bench today. Conte didn't come on until an hour, 70th minute, and he's our best central midfielder. And without the two of them, the defense just doesn't work, right? I mean, that's might as well be sorry ball again.
Yeah.
And I
so
mean,
your spine, you were struggling with your spine, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And Mason Mount, we're getting way ahead of ourselves. We'll get to Chelsea, but let's talk about Arsenal first.
Let's give Adam something,
Yeah, yeah.
They did win.
He done a win.
They've done a win, and you have to think that they'll get better once their main guys are up and running.
Yeah, and obviously they've now got other issues which have come out in the press because after the heroics, shall we say, of Kolasinac with the carjackers, is that reports are that something else has happened with the two of them separately since that. So it's quite worrying.
Very iffy going on there.
Yeah, neither of them travelled because of police investigations and stuff.
Yeah, and especially because they're not really giving out much detail, it must be sort of criminal proceedings, and so hopefully they're not. It's not some sort of targeting thing.
I think that's what the reports were saying though, which is it wasn't randomly those two guys. It was them specifically, both in the first attack and now obviously whatever.
Some organised crime situation.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, whatever it is, whoever's doing it, fuck off.
Yeah, I mean, genuinely, go fuck yourselves. Stop.
Yeah.
I hope they get them. I hope they arrest them. Arsenal players or whatever, you want them to be safe. But credit to Arsenal who were able to pull out a gritty win against the mighty Newcastle.
They should have got more goals. I'm so pissed off. Fucking Aubameyang.
Yeah, me and all, mate. Yeah.
You fucking... Fuck you, Adam.
Next match.
Yay! Yay!
No, not yet. Leicester Wolves.
Got ahead of myself.
0.5 XG 0-0. The most boring match of the weekend, easily. Anything big to take away from that? Are both of those teams who we thought they were? Is one of them worse than we thought? Was it just a weird stalemate that happens sometimes? What are you guys thinking here?
Bit of a disappointing stalemate, isn't it, really?
Boring as shit.
I hope this isn't par for the course with me picking my fixture for the week.
Oh, yeah. I think you were valid in saying that this sounded like a really good game, but yeah, talk about damp squib.
Yeah, the four that we had, the two that we highlighted, other than obviously the big ones, were Palace, Everton, and Leicester Wolves, and both of those were 0-0.
Yeah, we didn't do well. Don't listen to what we say.
I also said Villa might get a result against Spurs, I believe, if I remember correctly. So
yeah, I think you did.
Yeah.
It was either that or Sheffield United. It was one of those two. I don't know. One of you nerds go back and listen and tell us.
Yeah, par for the course with predictions here. So
yeah, pretty much.
Exactly.
Yeah, especially the fact. I mean, I've just pulled it up now, and Schmeichel made 2 saves and Patricio made 1. So
yeah, no, it was dire stuff. It was 0.5 on XG. It was about as boring as it gets.
Maybe this is Wolves having to deal with the 4 Europa League games they've already played, and then no, I think they've played 2, and then they've got 4 more before they then join the Europa League.
Yeah, it's they're gonna be stretched because they did look tired.
Yeah, but they've got a bigger squad than Burnley had when they did it last year, so we shall see.
All right, and
what's left
here we
to talk
are.
about, Oscar?
We're at it. We can't avoid it any further. Manchester United 4, Chelsea 0. Hold on. I just gotta.
Oh, God. Resorting to drink. That's usually me and you, Chuck.
What's he got? A White Claw flavoured, black cherry flavoured seltzer.
Yeah. White Claw hard seltzer, black cherry flavour. No good. Don't get it if you haven't had it yet.
What is it, like a cider or something?
It's called a hard seltzer. I don't know.
So it's like alcohol. It's like vodka soda, basically.
Right. Okay.
Basically, yeah. It's the most popular thing over here. It's been everyone's been like, "Oh my god, did you drink White Claw this summer?" And so we got me and Emily went out and we're like, all right, we got to try this. Everybody loves this. It's a nice day out. Let's just go grab one. It's fucking gross. But let's keep talking about that though. What else do you want to know? There's different flavors.
Did well keeping it off for 45 seconds there.
Yeah. All right, so I'm just gonna go straight to Kaylee graphics to quote because I don't want to have to say my own things. XG map for Manchester United, Chelsea. Manchester United 1.7 plus a penalty to Chelsea's 0.9. And the caption is, rarely have I watched a 4-0 that felt less like a 4-0. United did play really well on the counter once Pogba got the space to work with. Which I think is a pretty fair assessment.
I think so. And, De Gea made 7 saves, so maybe he's, good again.
He's always been good, that's the thing. It's just the defense in front of him was worse. Last year he was
garbage. They kept less than half the clean sheets that Palace did last year.
I think that had more to do with the players in front of him than anything else. So Chelsea came out of the gate strong here. They looked really good for the first 20 minutes, then they completely lost the plot. You got to be looking at Kurt Zouma there.
Yeah.
Making some very, very, very notable mistakes. Very out loud and, hard to not pay attention to type of mistakes, right?
Right.
Which you'd imagine that as soon as Rudiger's ready, he'll be in there slotting in for Zouma. Which is kind of the story for me. I touched on this a second ago, but it's obviously very upsetting to lose to Manchester United 4-0. I hate Manchester United. It was really upsetting for Lampard's first game to be this. I was hoping Pulisic would start and he didn't, which was upsetting too. It's all of that is a bummer of a fucking day, right? But from a big picture perspective, I'm still just as excited as I was for the season, and I still think that I think Tottenham have kind of shown that they're a level above, but I do still think that we can keep up with Arsenal and United to finish 4th maybe. I'm not that worried. Like I said before, when Rudiger and Kante, who are their 2 most important defensive pieces, are missing, no shit they passed through our central midfield. Our defensive midfielders were Kovacic and Jorginho. Jorginho doesn't know how to tackle.
Yeah. There's a lot of settling in and some blooding to do with some of the players, because I was quite surprised when the team sheet came out to see that he was playing Kovacic and Jorginho. Well, Kovacic and Jorginho made sense, but then to have Mason Mount in front and Tammy Abraham, I thought, wow, that's quite bold to not go for, if you've got Mount there, to maybe not go for someone like Giroud just because he's more experienced.
Yeah. Against Manchester United, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, they brought on Kante, so that's good at least to know that he's fit enough and just getting a few more minutes. But, we've said enough times, it's such a huge time of transition for Chelsea that this fixture was never going to be good. It was either this was going to happen and you'd lose, but it was predictable, or potentially you'd get that result but not really be able to rely on the data from it because both teams are in a bit of flux at the minute.
Right, exactly. And you mentioned it, and I'll just go player by player. Emerson barely played last year. Zuma on loan to Stoke and Everton in the last few seasons, for reasons, obviously. Christensen didn't start a single Premier League match last year, played 600 total minutes. So that's 3 of the 4 defenders.
Mm-hmm.
Totally not played with each other and don't have much experience or haven't played in a while. Mason Mount making his Premier League debut, I believe, certainly incredibly young.
Ross Barkley probably hasn't played a game in about 8 years.
Barkley and Kovacic shared minutes last year, but Barkley playing out wide in a 4-2-3-1, I've never seen him played there before.
Yeah.
And he had a horrible day. This right here is exactly the test, right? Because we said that we're going to have patience. It's a transition period. There's a lot of young kids who are going to sort of get caught up in moments and make mistakes. And that's exactly what happened today. And so, I've avoided Twitter at all costs since the match ended. But I really hope that I don't go on there tomorrow and be and just see Lampard out all over the place.
Yeah. I don't think you will. They were singing his name still in the stadium. I mean, I think that would be ridiculous.
I don't think that's...
Yeah.
I mean, it will exist. Of course it will. Whether it's ironic or it's just bellends. If it's going to truly be a rebuild and a reshuffle and a kind of commitment to building, to actually utilising the players that they've had for fucking years, you just have to support it.
Look, I want to see Rudiger in as soon as possible for Zuma. I want to see Kante in as soon as possible, hopefully for Barkley, and then pushing Kovacic up or Jorginho up. I want to see Pulisic in there for Pedro. When he's back, Ruben, find somewhere for him maybe instead of Jorginho. There's a lot of guys that this is not the 11 that I would expect to see against a Manchester United in January.
Yeah.
Let's say, right? Or the bigger games later. So it sucks, but it is what it is.
I mean, I both hope and think that you're right because Chelsea did this bizarre thing of like playing quite a high line, but still managing to give Man United space. And I don't think that will happen. I hope, and don't think it will happen when Kante's back there, and like you say, when Rudiger's back there, and might have the experience to take a step up and realise when he's got to move, because there was a lot of statues going on when you were playing a high line, which was
it was not good at all. No, but they'll get better with time. I'm still much more upset about the David Luiz thing than I am about this result. Like, I was upset when we recorded the day before the window, but god damn it, seeing him in an Arsenal jersey
I enjoyed
really
the
hurt.
fact that about a month ago they took down Eden Hazard at the Chelsea shop.
Yeah, I saw
because
that.
he was in front of the entrance and replaced him with David Luiz.
I didn't see that. Oh, brilliant!
That person needs to just quit their job. They're like, for fuck's sake.
That sucks. No, David Luiz was like probably tied with Ruben for my favorite player, and he was the only player left from that 2012 team. Like, it's upsetting. It's really upsetting that he's gone. And I had kind of been like, oh, I'm okay with it. Like, you know, him and Lampard had discussions, and he wants to be the number one guy somewhere. That's fair enough at his age. Fine. And then seeing him announced by Arsenal in the Arsenal shirt, I like wanted to throw up in my mouth. It ruined all of like Thursday night and Friday for me. Like, me and Emily just sat on the couch, just like in a terrible mood, just like sad. Because like he's genuinely like, we have, oh my god.
Right, enough. I'm bored. Enough of David Luiz. I'll go on.
No. You'll like this. Do you know Funko Pops, like the little bobblehead kind of figurine things?
Yeah, you fucking hipster.
We bought 3 Funko Pops last summer. Or not last summer, at the end of last season, and they were Cahill, Hazard, and Luiz. So now we got to look at them on our bookshelf every day.
Yeah.
On the other side of the pitch, Man United are in a similar kind of situation and bringing in new players, not just to that team, but also that haven't really played much. So it's good to see player of the season Scott McTominay getting a start from
got involved as
2
well.
seasons. Yeah. Obviously, Wan-Bissaka and Maguire coming in, clean sheet there, but again against a bit of a stunted Chelsea attack that isn't quite cohesive enough. You can't really have enough insight there, but you know, Pogba getting involved, and reports are that he, you know, went round, applauded all 4 corners of the ground and got decent receptions from all the fans there. So, you know, it's good to see that it's no bad blood there. And fast man Daniel James and Mason Greenwood coming off the bench, albeit when they were 3 or 4-0 up at that point. Well, Daniel James obviously got the 4th goal, but Mason Greenwood coming on, which is good to see that both of these managers are kind of committing to what they do and wanting to bring through new players and cultivate the culture that both of them have come from.
Yeah, United had the youngest squad this weekend, and Chelsea had the 5th youngest squad, and that's when they were both 2 of like the 3 oldest last season. So huge swing in age, average age, for them. So, it'll be a work in progress for both of those teams.
Mm. Yeah.
I'm glad Chuck's mentioned Man United there, because, I mean, it's easy to see Chelsea as the story because of Lampard and the transfer ban and everything. But,
And Oscar.
Obviously, just from our point of view, we see Chelsea as the story. But, I mean, that will have done a great deal to settle nerves at Man United for a little while. You know, even if they lose the next 2 now, that will have just settled nerves. If not on play, but definitely scoreline, an emphatic victory, that's gonna do a lot to just calm everyone down at Man United. I don't know what their next fixtures are like, actually.
I was just about to say I've pulled them up, and they've got Wolves away, Palace at home, Southampton away, Leicester at home, West Ham away,
right,
Arsenal at home, Newcastle away, and then in week 9 Liverpool at home.
So they've got a chance to build up a little run of steam, without a doubt. I mean, that could really settle nerves there. Definitely.
That's amazing. And then after Liverpool, they've got another 5-6 weeks of solid until they then hit Tottenham and Man City. So that's pretty bloody decent. So, yeah.
If I was a United fan, I'd be on cloud 9, and rightly so.
Yeah,
great
100%.
Day, good performance, amazing result. Youth players, true, club type guys.
I think the way Chelsea and United fans are going to be this season. There's going to be a lot of similarities, I think, because of the history. Obviously, Man United has a longer history, but in fairly recent memory, you've got similar histories of winning big competitions, not just the Premier League, but also Champions League, and you're going through this big rebuild that there's going to be lots of things that you guys are happy about and are not happy about. So it's...
Old club legend as manager, yeah.
Yeah, ex-players as managers. So there's a lot of similarities to be drawn between those teams. So it's really interesting for me to see, not just because of you, Oscar, but to see what happens when finally what I've kind of believed in for all these years, and that sometimes teams just have to go, right, we know we're not going to win anything this year, but we need to build something and build a new foundation to then develop on, to see if maybe they can catch Man City. That's got to be the aim. And it's whether they just know that one day potentially the owners will get bored or the money will run out or what have you. And then
you're absolutely right, because Man City are so far ahead. There's only two ways to do it. One is to do a long-term plan, building from the bottom, blah blah blah, and that's going to take a while, like you say. The other is just to throw money at it, and the Glazers ain't going to throw money at it.
No, and Man United fans are getting butthurt because Man United only spent like 150 million this year, and you're like, what the fuck do you want? Get used to it, and it's been all over the place. But you've got, we mentioned last season, but the situation with Bolton still hasn't changed. They're still in big trouble and potentially going out of existence. And the same now with Bury. Bury, who have just been promoted to League One, have had their first 3 league matches postponed, and now their first League Cup fixture postponed. And I think if they can't prove financial solvency by, I think it's the 23rd of this month, the EFL will rescind their membership. So the club's gone.
Shit.
So they've got 2 weeks. Bolton, they were further along, but have then had court injunctions brought against the guy who was going to take over. So that's complicated everything. But they're not much further behind. Both those teams are in League One with 12-point deductions. Like, it fucking sucks. And then you've got Man United fans getting fucking bent out of shape because they've only spent 150 million. What do you want?
Yeah.
Puts it into perspective, doesn't it?
Yeah. Changed my mind. Man United is shit. They can fuck off.
That didn't take long. All right, well, enough about the fucking Chelsea match and the football in general. Let's go ahead and jump into some listener questions. I'm sure we have some good stuff about, like, cheeseburgers or socks or some
something
nonsense.
to take your mind off it, mate.
Yeah, no more Chelsea. Let's get to some listener
You
stuff.
can always rely on the listeners for that.
No worries. Yeah, you can rely on them. Adam P. How does Oscar feel knowing his entire season is resting on a manager who performed to expectation in the Championship, managing to not fuck it up, putting 10 players around Kante? Doesn't look good so far. Also, when will Pulisic play? Oh, dear. That's
Here, I'll say this on air for everyone to fucking hear. Let's see if Adam's a coward or not. I bet that Chelsea finish above Arsenal in the table this year. And I'm willing to put on the line that I will, to follow our good old friend Sabzi, remember him?
Yeah.
I will say that the loser has to wear a Tottenham jersey in their profile picture for a year.
Holy shit.
Oh.
All right? Put your fucking money where your mouth is, Adam. Let's see how he's feeling. Because one result against Newcastle, getting 0.8 XG, and he's trying to talk a bunch of shit at us, bring it on.
Wow.
Them's fighting talks. I mean, that. I'm happy for that to go ahead. Adam, go on. Just do it.
He's a fucking coward and he won't do it.
Don't be a punching bag. This is how the punching bag becomes the puncher.
He knows that Arsenal are going to come in sixth. He knows that they cannot handle, like, doing well all the way through a whole season. Right? He knows that deep down. So.
Wow. There you go. I did not expect that.
Throwdown. Snaps.
All right. Should we do next week's fixtures?
Sure.
I'm just stunned by that.
Yeah, when Arsenal could potentially build up a 6-point cushion by starting off the week against Burnley. Or Burnley gone Burnley.
Burnley are going to Burnley them. Yeah, 0.5 XG 5-0 on the scoreline.
Yeah, not a good week for Adam to take that bet.
Definitely not. But he wouldn't take it anyway. Or would he? I fucking hope so.
We'll see.
And Chelsea face off against Leicester on the Sunday at 4:30, 11:30, whatever it is in your foreign land. So that's an interesting one. That could be a bit more of an attacking foray for you against old B-Rog.
Yeah, at home, I'd imagine we'll see some rotation, some lineup changes I would expect after that result today. Hopefully Pulisic will be making his full debut, his debut at Stamford Bridge either way, which is really exciting. I guess I should take a moment to mention that. From an American soccer perspective, today was a huge day, a really big deal. Like, I was blasting some patriotic country hick-ass music all morning, being like, proud to be an American! Right? Because, like, Pulisic playing for Chelsea is a big fucking deal. Like, from an American perspective, this is our chance to, like, make our name at a genuinely elite team at a genuinely elite league. We've never had anyone play for this big of a club before.
Well, Landon Donovan.
He's just a young Landon Donovan. Young Landon Donovan. Anyway, the big fixture this week is kind of the first top table clash that we get, which is Man City Spurs, 5:30 on Saturday.
Prick.
What?
United played Chelsea today.
Yeah, because either of those teams stand a chance of winning the league.
No one but City stands a chance, and they can't play themselves, so...
They could. They probably could play themselves. That would be an interesting match, actually. If they just did, like, pick captains and played each other at the end. And
captains.
whoever wins gets to keep the Premier League medals.
Yeah.
Because they've all got so many now, and, like, it doesn't matter, does it? How many Premier League winning medals you got? I don't know, mate.
Lost count.
Too many. So, yeah, that's very, very interesting. City's first game at the Etihad as well. So you'd expect them to put a real marker down, especially as Liverpool have Southampton. So you'd expect to win there against their barren hunting grounds that they have raped and pillaged over the years for all their good players. Yeah, metaphors and shit.
Yeah. Palace away to Sheffield United.
Yeah.
It's going to be an interesting one.
Banana skin. That's definitely... If Sheffield, it's that classic thing of promoted teams that they need to put down a statement, especially at home. Palace had that for a good few years, and we're still riding on that idea that apparently it's a hard place to go, but we keep giving away 3 points.
Fortress.
Yeah, I mean, we won there 3 times last season. So going to Bramall Lane doesn't exactly fill me with confidence.
No.
But no, it's interesting and a real marker of kind of, you know, we have another week of players settling into the club and then seeing kind of where does Hodgson want to go with it. Zaha will have been back for longer, so you'd assume he'd start there. Maybe bringing in, like I said before, Camarasa, maybe Cahill could start as well, which would be pretty good. Just give a bit more defensive structure and addition to the spine.
Yeah, and if he does come in, the experience of someone like him against newly promoted strikers or attackers is going to be invaluable, isn't it? I mean,
yeah, definitely.
He's not going to panic. He's not going to lose his head. It's, you know,
although not the most mobile. That's kind of what worries me.
True. Yeah, that is true. Yeah, but I think experience can sometimes, especially at that sort of excuse my rudeness, but lower echelons of the Premier League level, that sort of experience.
The amorphous blob of garbage.
Yeah, exactly. The void of not giving a shit. Yeah,
that's pretty much how it is. So there's lots of football going on this weekend. I mean, if you are in the States, your goal rush on Saturday, it isn't exactly the most exciting set of fixtures in the world.
No.
But at least you're kind of watching 5 at once, so something might happen, and I assume Southampton-Liverpool will be the big game.
All right, and so that'll do it for next week's fixtures. Why don't we check in with the fantasy before we move on, right? We have that community team, and also I'm in the lead of the 3 of us.
Oh, that's why you want to bring it up. Funny that. Well, our podcast team, as we mentioned before, for the FPL Roundtable League, the Mop'em Sock'em robots. Yeah, that's right.
Like it.
We had a pretty decent week, a 75-pointer with Salah captain and Sterling as well. So pretty good. The rest of the team didn't really do much in attack. I mean, we had Pulisic, San Maximan, Fraser, Keane.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that. Who?
Alan Saint Maximan. Mate, look at a picture of him. He's a G. And, I mean, he was obviously linked with Palace and didn't go there, but he's always worn a headband. And all the time he was at...
Cool. That's good criteria.
Insert French club he used to play for here, but probably not French. He wore a Gucci headband and looked like a G. And now he's come to Newcastle. He's wearing a Slazenger one that is available 2 for £5 from Sports Direct. That's the Mike Ashley effect, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, it kind of all went from Salah and Sterling, and then Van Aanholt Alexander-Arnold, Luca Digne, and
Did
Nick
well in
Pope
defence.
at the back. Yeah, very solid. 4 clean sheets.
And you have to think Pulisic is going to probably get a start from next weekend and certainly get more minutes going forward. So that'll be good for the fantasy team.
So going forward, as we said before, what we'll do is we'll throw open some transfer suggestions to you, as well as our captaincy choice, whether you want us to make any changes or look at stuff. Obviously, budget pending.
Good start, though.
It's a pretty solid start, considering everyone else in the world got 1 billion points.
Just imagine how good of a start it would have been if I was in charge of it, given that I'm the best FPL player on this podcast, apparently.
All right, calm down.
I'm going to finish ahead of you this year. Chuck, I don't care about, but I want to finish ahead of Stimmers.
Oscar's about 2 seconds away from challenging me to wear a Tottenham shirt.
I told you. This year I'm taking FPL very seriously, and I'm going to beat you. That's the only reason I'm doing it seriously, is because I want to beat you, Stimmers.
And I'm not taking it seriously the same as last year, and I'm still going to beat you.
Yeah, that would hurt me 2 years on the bounce. That really
I'm
would.
fully determined to take no points hits for the first time ever.
Well, you've already hamstrung yourself. That's a ridiculous thing to say.
Yeah, probably I won't. But I usually take like a point hit every week. So
Yeah, well, that's, yeah.
I'll try to be
two
better.
extremes, yeah.
It's just me trying to be better.
And one final thing before we go, just want to give a shout out to everyone that's entered the Mop Predictor League this year. We asked you all to send in your predictions for where the 20 teams will finish this year. So we've got about 18 in the league. So it's good. And I mean, unfortunately, Oscar is currently in joint second with another 4 people. However, you know, it's 1 game week down and there's a long way to go. And the average points is about 100 difference. So shout out though to game week 1 leader Van Dam Sambi.
Nice.
Big Van Dam Sambi. Oscar tied with his wife, as well as Joe Bloom and Momo FPL.
Okay.
And Oscar's nemesis 2 points behind, Finley Stimpson.
Go on, son. Go on, son.
I'm in 9th, Ian's in 11th, and Dave Matteo, like Sheffield United, are getting relegated this year.
You know, he's never acknowledged that we make that joke every
What
time.
joke? Well, he's a Sheffield United fan, so why would he?
I maintain that you stopped listening a long time ago.
Yeah.
And there we
Fucking
go, on
motorcycles
that
today.
motorbike bookend, Ian's super production value, that's us zooming away.
I have to leave both motorbikes in now.
Yes, yes you will.
Fuck.
Shazam. Thank you very much for joining us, guys. Thank you two for recording on this Sunday evening.
Thank you, Jack.
Cheers, and thank you very much. Goodbye.
Bye.